Hey, what's up, guys? Colin K. Bats from the Power Rangers Extended Universe, and you're watching Action Activate. Omega Access, SPD Emergency.
Here we come, there they go. Evil runs, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You will soon, you see our pose. Hang shit, energize. Let's go. Time to ride. Combine. Grease ties.
Oh boy, it's me, Gazbot, for Action Activate. And if it's me, Gazbot, for Action Activate, well then with me, as always.
It is I. It is the big dog. We are here to talk about not one, but two episodes of Mystic Force today.
It was gonna be 3. Why is it not 3?
So part of it is logistics, because if there's one thing we do, it's stay to schedules that we put on each other. Also, these two episodes kind of work better together because
the logistics are my fault. I wasn't blaming him. I was pointing the finger at me.
it's all good. It doesn't matter who, it's one of us at all times.
Yeah.
But episode 5 and 6 is what we're going to review today. They both have very similar themes that play off of each other, and 7's kind of the misnomer of those without spoiling it for Gazbot. But there's a reoccurring theme of both these that isn't in the next episode. So
Big Dog has watched 7. I have not. That's the
Yeah.
issue why we're only doing 5 6. So as we were getting ready to start, you said, "Oh, did you take notes?" And the short answer is no, because I was trying to feel like, well, normally when we do one episode, I take a bunch of notes and we like go over it with fine tooth comb. But we're gonna talk about 3, and we're gonna do a half hour to an hour total. And so I'm like, plus this is an opportunity, we've talked about this before, to just watch the show and like enjoy it, as opposed to way back in the day, I used to watch the show 2 or 3 times in a row. I don't have the time to do that anymore. So usually I just watch it one time, and if I'm taking notes, it's just different. So the first episode 5 I watched and just enjoyed it. That was last week.
Mhm.
Didn't take notes. So now I'm like, I watched it a week ago. Didn't take notes, and we're not going to put it up like we normally do because it's 2 episodes. Now, episode 6 I watched today. So I remember much better, and I have like 3 notes that I just haven't.
I have the same. I don't have a lot of notes, but I put because when we were originally going to do 3, I just put notes so I know what each episode is about.
Right. Yeah. And in my defense, when I watched 5, I didn't know we were going to do multiples yet. So
Same. So I skimmed through it again today, but overall, I think 5 and 6 were pretty good. I think they're not, spectacular episodes by any means, but it definitely gives us more of 5 and 6 are focused on Nick.
Right.
They're all about Nick. Spoiler alert, 7 is not strictly about Nick. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the Red Ranger, and that's, for better or worse, that's something that always happens. I'll say, generally speaking, of these 2 episodes and all the episodes we've seen so far, I don't think there's been a bad episode. Some are better than others. None of them have been bad. And many other seasons, including like Beast Morphers and seasons we like, have had a bad episode by this point, I think.
Yeah.
So Mystic Force, if it continues this way, may not end up being the best season or top 10, but it's certainly solid. It is certainly solid.
I think so far with Mystic Force, I think there's maybe one episode I really, really liked, but I'm forgetting which one. But no episode that I can recall has blown my socks off. Whereas with Beast Morphers, the highs were high, but the lows were low. These are all kind of in the middle.
Agreed. And I think I'm enjoying them a little more than you, because I do like the sort of campy tone and the over-the-top theatrics, and just different. I like seasons that are different. SPD is different, but also, better quality. But it's not, I think I may be repeating myself, but it's the difference between, we're going to adapt Gokaiger, and it's going to be Mighty Morphin, just they happen to have pirate suits, and that's not even whatever. They're embracing it's magic, it's mystic, everything about it will focus on that. Yes, the kids will still live in a town and be regular kids, but they have this mystic thing, and they fly on brooms, and their enemies are doing spells. And I like that. I like that they're embracing the theme, and this theme is different than any other theme I've seen in all of the seasons. It's not another Dino theme or something.
You're right. I think the unique theme is good. I think the villain dynamic, I haven't seen in a while, but I now thinking back on Disney, they were very big on like a hierarchy of villains
Yeah,
in
and
each
I
season.
like that. I mean, I think that's a good way to do it. And
I don't think it's bad. It's one like I'm not super used to it, so I'm still adjusting. But I overall I know for these 2 episodes I liked them. I think Nick is becoming more redeeming to me the more we watch these. But I am getting a little frustrated that he is finding everything so easy. Like he kind of has like
Well,
weird unexplained MacGuffin getting out of a
I think
situations.
that he is they've hinted at some mysterious origin where he doesn't know his parents or I think it's going to be an Amelia thing where it's like, oh, his father is Void Knight, or he comes from a mystic source, and like and I think if that's the case, that will explain a lot of this.
He's not from the magical source.
No, he's from the mystic source, magical force.
There you go.
But I can see it being a thing, where like, yeah, he seems to have this connection and be more powerful stuff, but it's explained later because of his familial connection or whatever when he was a child.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
specifically and we're kind of bouncing around here, but in episode 6, where the horse's name was Catastros, like
Yeah.
Catastros, he's like nervous about the horse, but then the horse is injured and he finally like gets over his fear and he's able to heal the horse, and the horse kind of like bonds with him. And actually I love that like it bonds with him and they like he gets his power up and they show how it happened, but then he loses it back to Void Knight because Void Knight's like, it's impossible. How would he bond with you?
Not Void Knight, Korag.
Korag. I'm sorry. I said that before too.
You use it as an analogy, and I was like, okay. And then you kept calling him Void Knight. I'm like, his name is Korag.
They're both purple ranger-looking guys that might have more than meets the eye that might be connected to one of the
I
rangers.
am 1,000% positive that Korag is not a transformer.
I mean, he did turn into a centaur.
No, he fused with a horse to become a centaur.
Okay, so it was he's a combiner.
Yeah, which isn't exclusively a transformer.
That's true. Okay, but where's it going? But then going back to him being connected, the horse goes back to Korag, but there's still this thing of like, oh, it's weird that you're able to fuse with him at all or have that connection at all, no matter what. And it's like, well, if there's like some sort of family bond there, that would make sense, So, yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting. Both episodes are about Nick. Episode 6 was about Nick overcoming things himself. Episode 5, and I know this is like almost 20 years old now, and I know it's a thing that will happen in Power Rangers for the end of time, probably. Why do we always have to do it? We're like, I don't know, man. Yeah, for somebody, whispered in my ear and said, you might be a thief. I know we're on a superpower team together, but I think you might be a thief.
Yeah. It was not great the way everyone turned on him immediately.
Yes.
I mean, luckily they rectified it pretty quickly and all kind of were like, oh, we're jerks and it's our fault and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and he was, even though they were more wrong, he's like, I should have told you I heard voices, because also, like we've seen a million times, like you're it's not like a regular person hearing voices. They're like, am I going crazy? What's happening? It's like, no, you're on a magical, mystical team and you have mystical enemies. And really you should recognize that voice too, but yeah. So they were both kind of culpable.
It's Jeff Dolan. How do you ever not recognize the voice, right?
Yeah, exactly. I did prefer 6 to 5 for sure. The
yes,
legendary Castar. How do you say the name?
Catastros.
Catastros. Yeah. I definitely 5 was like fine. 5 again wasn't a bad episode. It was just like a standard. Okay, this is fine. There's good parts and bad parts. But 6 I enjoyed more. 6 and 6 had a lot of which was set up in 5. But what I've said before of like non-standard Megazord fights.
Yeah,
had them as just Titans. It had only 4 of them, and it's just like a lot of stuff you don't see all that often, which I thought was really
well, yeah, because the 5, and again, we're jumping around a lot. Yes. We haven't done one of these in a while. 5, the first like 2/3, I really didn't like, but then when Nick is on his own, he and Korag have a good fight.
Yes,
and then Korag does a spell to summon Frankenstein's monster, and then all of them have to fight, and then Korag ends up beating them and stealing their combining power, which I didn't know was a thing, but kind of makes sense.
If it wasn't Mystic Force, I'd be like, that's dumb. But since everything's magic, sure.
No. And I 100% agree that was a way of using a unique trope of the series to explain certain things.
Yes.
But yeah, again, that one, he sent I forget Frankenstein's name. sent him back and counterspelled him. And he's like,
Yeah.
how did he counterspell? It's like, I don't know. He MacGuffin did out of nowhere, I guess.
Yeah, I agree completely if it's out of nowhere. But again, if things fall into place the way it seems like they're going to, it won't bother me as much.
Okay. So we'll hold out judgment on
Yes.
how frustrating it is. Speaking of things that are frustrating,
Yes.
5 was a prime example of when he first starts hearing the voices. They're like, listen to this music, this god-awful noise garbage. I'm like, oh, it's that part of the series I despise so much.
I remember you saying this before, and I should have been thinking about it at the time, but I wasn't I was like, because I knew he had the voices, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a problem. I was focused on that part of it. I wasn't thinking of the bad music. I'm sure it was bad music, but I don't notice it like the way you do.
That girl needs to be the vampire lady. If it's not, I don't know.
If it's not, it's like, is this a like third comic relief character because they don't trust their boss and Claire to be enough comic relief?
Yeah.
Or...
And I like their boss, other than their boss is like the most chill person ever, and I would have fired them many moons ago.
I wouldn't have hired them. We've talked about this before. It's a small shop. Even if it was doing well, like small shops like that don't like bring in tons of money. But even if this is like a really successful one, you don't need 4 to 5 people plus the boss all working every shift. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
I feel like they needed 1 or maybe 2 of them to work there.
And the rest hang out.
And later a plot point should have been that they're never at work, like we saw in Beast Morphers, and that would have been a thing, and that would have been fine. But it's like all of you are working the same time, or all of you are gone, and it's like
could have even had Pink. They could have had Pink come in and not work there, but she's a DJ, and so she does gigs there. So there's a reason for her to be there sometimes, but she's not like a member of the staff.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 working there. Like you can find ways to get them there. It's not hard.
Yeah. Let me think. There was. Yeah, I don't have any notes for 6. I was seeing if there was because I watched 7. I keep like making sure I'm not talking about 7. That's why I keep looking down. I don't
have a lot of notes for 5, and I don't have but what I have for 6. One negative I had for 6 was the first time I actively disliked one of Claire's jokes.
Was it the beard?
What?
Was it the beard?
They did. I think that was 5. I didn't love that one, but that's part of that is just modern sensibilities and things like that. But whatever. It didn't. It was like okay. But no, 6 was one where she did a spell to combine hot chocolate and protection.
Okay, I didn't know if that was in 7, so I didn't want to bring it up.
And here's the thing: she gets spells wrong, and that's fine. And she's trying to mix them together, and that's fine. Even the fact that her hair was covered with whipped cream or maybe turned into whipped cream was unclear. I'm okay with that. I don't love the joke, but I'm okay with that. The part I'm not okay with is that this wet, drippy stuff is all over her and she's seemingly unaware of it. It's like practically in her eyes. And she's like, what about my hair? And then she's like, ugh, and taste it. So it's not like an illusion. It's like you can't not notice that there's whipped cream on your head. That's impossible. I'm like, I don't love this visual gag, but I could let it go. The fact that she doesn't notice it really bothers me, but it's a kid's show. It's like teetering on the edge. And what really put it over is like, and I'm allergic to whipped cream. It's like, what? No, nobody's allergic to whipped cream. And if you are, that means if you eat it, you feel bad. You don't sneeze. Stupid. And she sneezed. And so that was my least favorite joke we've seen so far.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I feel like I need another episode, hopefully soon, where Udana does more. Because she's still kind of just hanging out.
Well, she doesn't have her staff, so she can't morph.
So? She's the mentor.
That was a good point.
Right. She's the mentor. She just needs to exist and like help them or, scold them or something.
So you don't mean get involved in the fight, but like train them, talk to them, whatever.
Something. Because like some episodes, she's like, you need to do this. Like, I forget what episode. It was the one where Yellow and Pink like do all these jobs because they're trying to like unlock this power because she was
code breakers, code busters.
Yes, she was like, oh, you need to earn it, essentially, like training them. And then like, oh, cool, here's the side plot. But she's like just kind of there, and even in that scene, like she gets whipped cream on her face, says nothing, and leaves. You're like, I don't know why you even bothered being in the shot, but okay.
My assumption, I agree with you, and they could incorporate her better. My assumption is that she showed like later on she'll get her powers back and be a bigger part of the show and surround like she set them up and she'll be there later, but now she's just kind of treading water. which is not great. And we have seen it done better with like Doggy Kruger or somebody like that, who isn't always morphing, but is like clearly in command.
Well, even RJ back in the Jungle Fury days, where it's like he's there, he doesn't do anything for a long time, but he's still involved.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
I hadn't
That's
really
all I
thought
need
about
to
it.
hear.
I hadn't really thought about it, but you're right. I try not to think about you and being right, but
Many don't.
In the fight, well, actually, I'll get back to in the fight where in 6, where they're getting their butts kicked because they can't turn into a Megazord, and then Nick, as the Titan, grabs Korag as he's teleporting away. I thought that was cool, and the teleport got all weird and stuff. And then him being in that dimension and how everything was kind of purple. So I thought when he got the horse on his side, everything was going to turn red. Because it's like, oh, well, this is the and it didn't, but I did notice that set dressing, and I thought that was cool that they had that angle to it.
The one thing about that like pocket dimension or whatever it was that I didn't understand is like how his magic didn't work and then it did work. Was it just like the power of friendship? Yeah. Okay.
No, it because the theme of the episode was being afraid, because he wasn't afraid of that story, but he was kind of afraid of this horse, and it literally was a thing where he's trying to help the thing. And I will say this. He was doing some good face acting. He's like, oh, like it was like kind of over the top, but again, in a way that made sense because he's stuck in this other dimension. He's desperate to help this horse. He doesn't know what's going on. Like I thought he was emoting pretty well there. But eventually he gives up. He keeps trying to do the spell. It's not fixing things. And he's like, look, man, I'm sorry. I can't help you, but I'm not afraid of you. He says those words. And then he touches the horse. And then that makes the magic work because there was a block there because of fear or whatever. So once he let that go, the magic flows. I had no problem with that. I didn't think that was out of nowhere at all.
One thing, and this is a nitpick that means nothing to anybody. When he found out why the horse was injured, I'm surprised he didn't save that arrow for later, since it seems like it would be really useful.
Oh, like as a weapon or as proof and like to cause more infighting?
Mostly as a weapon, but also that, like, it seems like, oh, this took down our enemy in their Megazord mode.
Right.
Thank you very much. Let me just bibbity boppity.
I think
comes the cloppity.
Taking it to study would make sense because I could see it being like, well, that's an evil thing. We don't want to use that. Who knows what? But yeah, taking it to study would have made sense.
Not taking it was wrong. Taking it leads to a plethora of options that may or may not be right.
I'll agree with that. I also a joke I did like was they were trying the Rangers that were not in that dimension were trying to figure out how to get him back. Oh, and they what's the Troglin? What's his name?
Troglin.
Troglin.
Well,
anyway, that character he did a good job of like backhand.
Phineas.
What?
Phineas.
Okay, you sure? What's
say his name?
Ferb.
No.
You're so mad.
I don't agree.
Are you sure it wasn't Doofenshmirtz? Maybe it was Perry.
What is the second one you said?
Doofenshmirtz?
Yeah, what is that from?
Are you not aware of the show Phineas and Ferb?
I am. I didn't watch it. I'm aware it exists.
Okay, well, you're banging something on your end.
Not anymore, I'm not.
I thought it was me. Phineas and Ferb, the main like villain is Doofenshmirtz, and he fights Perry the Platypus. That's like the side thing.
Got it.
So I figured like if you knew anybody, you'd know Doofenshmirtz. But
nope.
Yeah, Phineas, which I now have said, so you can rest easy. They had him come in and kind of be like, it was like slightly unclear because they're like, well, he's stuck. What could we do? And he's like, oh, I understand. You just got to give up sometimes. And it's like, I'm like, no, you're right. We better do it. And he's like, oh, what did I say? And so it's like, is he smart and was like kind of agreeing with them to show them they were wrong? Or is he like, I would give up too? Like, it's unclear. And I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I so far like him. I like him more I like him most in 7. So we'll talk about him more in 7 just because he's in that episode. But yeah, he's starting to grow on me. At first, I didn't really like him, but the more we're seeing him, the more I'm liking him.
I agree completely. And I think he suffered from other characters, other similar characters, or other like monstery sidekick characters being worse. And so it's like, oh, is he going to be one of these characters? But it's like, oh no, he's actually kind of okay.
You wanted to say he suffers from Piggy being annoying.
I didn't mind Piggy, actually.
I thought you didn't like Piggy.
I didn't like Piggy. I didn't like if I lived in that world, I wouldn't like Piggy. I didn't like Piggy as a person. I didn't think the performance was bad or anything like that, but it was just like, look, this guy, come on, what are you selling? Come on, take a stand, like that kind of like. I wanted him to be a better person.
So
But
you
I
hated Piggy.
But I didn't love Piggy. He's not Piggy. Piggy is not terrible, and I wasn't comparing him to Piggy. There are worse characters than Piggy. I can't.
So you heard it here first. Gaz's least favorite side character is Piggy.
Well, no, I'm actually thinking the one I'm thinking of now is also a Kelson character from your favorite season, where I want to say Nog maybe was his name.
Oh yeah.
Having only watched a few episodes of him, like that is a character I do not like.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
same.
that. I'll tell you that much for free. But on a positive note, a joke I liked in 7, they needed the spell backwards to get him back. And so
that was actually kind of good.
And he's like, it was something like fettuccine Alfredo. Now, here's why I like that. Because I remember when he said the spell earlier in the episode, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that sounds kind of like fettuccine Alfredo. Are they just like saying like Italian food? What are they doing? And then when he says that, I'm like, he's right. It was something like fettuccine Alfredo. Like I could, and I don't remember what it is now. It was like Boogaloo fettuccine or something like that. And so that was a very realistic joke to me.
I didn't catch it in the beginning because every time they do spells, it's kind of gibberish. But then he kept saying pasta names, and I'm like, this is just on brand for his character. And then the payoff of, it was actually kind of right, made it better. So I missed the first part of the fun you had, but we all ended it the same, thankfully.
We did.
But yeah, overall, I mean, these were fine. Glad we did these in a bundle just because we could have broken them down episode by episode, but I'm kind of glad we didn't.
Yeah. And then there's a 2-parter, which is 8 and 9, which we're going to do per episode. And I guess either we'll do 7 by itself, or when we do 8, we'll be like, hey, we watched 7. Yeah. And maybe not talk about it, depending on if we have something to say specific about 7. I don't know. Well, you watched it. Do you think it warrants an episode all by itself?
Could.
Stay tuned. We'll find out. We don't know right now.
I have watched it, so my homework is done. That's true. When we get to 8, you're like, hey, I only watched 7 and 8, then we can figure out from there. Because I have notes for 7 too, so I don't really care.
Good. It does seem like we had not intended to do as many individual episodes as we are, but we are. I mean, that's just happening. Without a promise of doing that for every single episode going forward. The next 2 weeks are going to be, well, the next week, I should say, because we're recording ahead. The next episode after this one, we will have an episode next week, but it won't be us. It will either be me by myself. Mm-hmm. It'll be me by myself doing one of a few things. I'm not sure. There will be an episode. I'm not sure which it'll be because I have a few things already recorded and I got to whatever. So there will be an episode next week, but Big Dog will not be this week. That's what
correct. Yeah. Yeah, we will be back in the coming weeks with new Mystic Force stuff for us. Yes. And again, our plan right now is we have a list of multi-parters that we plan on doing episode by episode, and then everything in between is kind of going to be up to us, where sometimes we'll do it individual, sometimes we'll do this. It'll really depend. Also, to be honest, like I have a feeling it'll part of it'll depend on our schedules, and the other part of it'll depend on like these episodes. I'm totally fine not spending a half hour each episode on these. I mean,
we're at 23 minutes and we've talked about both of them, and I don't have much more to say about them.
Yeah, we are filibustering hard, and I'm kind of good on those.
I'll throw out one little thing. There's been a lot of talk, Lightning Collection, about quality control stuff now that Hasbro is the plastic. Now I don't know if the plastic-free packaging is making it worse, or if it's a coincidence, but there have been more reports, especially Dino Fury Green, the head coming off. I saw Brendan, doesn't matter, he's somebody we know in the community. His whole torso fell apart and stuff. So if you are buying them, beware. And my advice is buy it from a store, not online, and open it like there. You know, like if I saw one, I would probably take it and go to customer service and be like, I hear these are bad, and open it. A, to make sure it's not a repack, and B, that way if it falls apart in your hand, you just go get another one. Because I typically like ordering stuff online. I have no issue with that. But the idea of even if they're going to cover it for you, now you got to mail it back and get another. And what if they're out of stock? Like, so short term, my advice is buy them and open them in the store if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, the problem that we've run into now with Lightning Collection is, and honestly, just all Hasbro stuff is because of the plastic free. There's just no way of knowing. You could have a repack. You could have Hasbro goofed it. You could have an anomaly.
We'll see. But the repack, my advice for repacks was like buy it from an online retailer because they're not going to have a repack. They don't take stuff back willy-nilly the way Walmart or somebody would. And then for a while, your main issue was like, well, that might not have the best paint apps on the face. It happens, but now that they're falling apart, it's like, I guess in stores,
you're missing parts. You have too many parts. They fall apart. There's QC.
And Power Rangers seems to be getting the brunt of it. I haven't seen as much with Star Wars. Usually Star Wars is paint on the face is the main thing, which again isn't good, but it's the most kind of understandable thing. But I also clicked G.I. Joe, and I was right about to say I haven't seen any problems with G.I. Joe. And I haven't, but the Zorana figure, which I got, which is one of my favorite figures, and it's fine. Apparently, like a lot of them, the arms just fall apart. So it's a very similar thing. So I don't know. I heard that they moved to a new factory, Hasbro, at some point. So the factory, the closed packaging, whatever, it's not just Power Rangers. It's all of it. But for the purposes of this show and for what I've been seeing online, Power Rangers, I'm not saying don't buy them if you want them. I'm saying just be careful.
Yeah, it's one where I've seen it more from the Marvel Legends side of people just saying don't buy stuff and hopefully it'll change at Hasbro. But the problem with Power Rangers is it's such a rocky kind of...
Yeah, Marvel's going to survive. Power Rangers...
because we want all the stuff, we just don't want it to be bad. So there's no way of going about it well.
Well, like I said, wherever you buy it from, I don't think I have any pre-orders outstanding for Power Rangers right now. And a lot of the new ones I haven't, even ones that I definitely want, like Blue Centurion, I don't have a pre-order in it, for example. My plan is to do what I said, try to buy them from stores. Even if, here's the other thing, sometimes you could buy it from Walmart or Target for pickup or shipping, you do it online. But if you have it from that store, you could take it to the store and return. I'm trying to avoid having to ship stuff back because I've done that and it's a pain. And again, then if they're out of stock, whatever. So my goal is to try to buy from brick and mortar so that I can return it more easily if I have to.
One thing I've heard too is if you buy from Hasbro Pulse and something's wrong, they won't send you the same thing. They'll send you something different.
I was going to say,
as a replacement.
Yes, that happened to me twice. I forget what one was. I got a green Psycho Ranger that had bad paint. And they said, go ahead and keep it. We'll send you a replacement. And it was like in space yellow or something completely different. So I still have that one. I kind of scraped it off as best I could, but it's imperfect. And it happened another time. I forget which one. And the same thing. They sent me another figure, which was just not what I wanted. So technically, but yeah, I don't know. But this isn't a Lightning Collection show. I just feel like throwing that out there since we had a few minutes extra.
Yeah, if you're watching this years in the future because you wanted to hear what people have to say about Mystic Force, hopefully all these things aren't issues anymore, or they still are and they're worse. Who knows? Not us. I have been the big dog, and I'm still the big dog, as it says down below. And you are...
Gazbot, function, artist, editor.
And to the power. See you guys later.
End credits.
Also, shout out to Colin Bass. I don't remember the last time we used that intro, but he has a new channel he's affiliated with called Anime Fire. Follow them if you're into...
doing a lot of Digimon stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen their first episode yet, but Digimon, Shaman King, probably Dragon Ball stuff, but it looks cool. Follow them on social, and apparently also filming the series finale of Shattered Past. Looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm a tired boy.
Me too. I'm a tired dog.
Right. Next week, I'm going to carry this whole show on my own shoulders. Well, maybe not. We'll see.
Do it.